Welcome to Old Classic Car, and I thought in this video I'd just take a quick look at a wonderful bit of motoring memorabilia from the early 1930s. Now this book called The Modern Motor Car was issued by Chelmex and BP in the early 1930s, and in it are some wonderful cutaway drawings, some fold-out, lift-up drawings of cars and their systems, like I say, dating to the early 1930s. And if we have a quick look in here, it actually came with this particular covering letter, which is often missing with these. With the compliments of Chelmex and BP Limited, in sending you this book, which we believe to be a comprehensive guide to a modern motor car, we call to your notice our wide range of lubricating oils. Obviously, this was a promotional thing. The popular ones: double shell, triple shell and aero shell. And we hope that if this book pleases you, and if you are not already a satisfied user of our oils, you will pay us the compliment of trying the correct grade for your particular car. On the reverse, it's almost like a certificate from Rolls-Royce. Aeroshell lubricating oil is officially approved by Rolls-Royce, and Triple Shell is officially recommended by Austin, Hillman, Humber, Rover, Standard, Triumph, etc. So, let's have a look inside this wonderful old publication. This is one of 2 or 3 copies I've actually got of this. They turn up on a certain auction site for just a few pounds, and it really is a wonderful little bit of memorabilia dating to the early 1930s. So let's have a quick look inside and just see what the illustrations inside are like. On the first page is just an introduction to this particular publication. It has been calculated that, if completely taken to pieces, a modern car will be found to include some 16,000 separate parts. Many of these are, of course, duplicates, while not all of them are active or animate, in the sense that they contribute by their movement to the actual propulsion or direction of the car. It is the object of this book to give our friends and readers the opportunity of visualising the interior economy of the motor car, and of learning the why and the wherefore of the amazingly delicate yet accurate mechanism that makes motoring worthwhile today. Opposite each page will be found a numerical index giving the name of every part shown, while at the end of the book an alphabetical index enables the reader to look up every detail of any particular part of the car as he desires. Needless to say, our illustrations do not refer to any special make of car. They are composite and are intended to include as many of the multifarious and varied parts found in modern cars as possible. While we consider that the old proverb, "What the eye sees not, the heart rues not," needs no justification or apology, we should like to add that, although his heart may not be rueful at the time, the motorist who takes no interest in the unseen yet vital parts of his car will undoubtedly experience heart-burnings later on. Okay, as I mentioned in the introduction, every page of drawings on this side, opposite it is a key for all the numbered items so that you can actually understand what it is you're looking at. But for the purposes of this short video, we'll just have a look at the illustrations, because those are the things that are well worth spending the time looking at. So if we just spin that around a little bit and just move it a little bit closer in, and then zoom in so we can get a better look, just re-angle things slightly, and we can see the car that is the subject of this Shell Oils publication. Now, it's a very generic sort of early 1930s saloon, possibly a Morris or something of that ilk. And you can see it's all colour illustrated, so it must have been quite an expensive thing to put together, even though it was given out to certain customers. It wouldn't have been a cheap thing to produce, but ironically these are actually quite cheap to buy. There are several, like I said possibly before, there are several online for sale at the moment on a certain auction site, and some of them are less than £5. It's incredible, really. So let's have a quick look, because we've got obviously the outside view of the car here. And if we carefully fold this back, because we don't want to damage anything, it is 90 years old, we've got an interior view of this particular car, and you can start to see the components that make up the typical British car of the early 1930s, and it really is beautiful. The illustrations, you've got all the old designs on the inside of the doors, you've got even cutaway drawing there of the window winder mechanism, the seat springs in the backrest. You're starting to see the rear axle, the engine, the 6-cylinder engine, the chassis. And it gives you a really good idea of how these cars were put together back in the day. And we can go a stage further on again. We can start to see the chassis and the inside of the engine. Got various parts here. There's a steering box, got the pistons, the camshaft running along here, the crankshaft underneath that the piston conrods attached to. We've got the inside of the differential back here, fuel tank, etc, etc. It really is a beautifully made publication. So if we go, put that back carefully, because we don't want to damage anything. And then we'll carry on. Let me know in the comments if this kind of thing is of interest, because I've got quite a few old books and publications on cars going back to the pre-war years right the way through to the 60s and 70s. So if this kind of thing is of interest to you, this type of memorabilia, please let me know. Right, here we've got the chassis and a better look at the engine, various numbered parts here, and the key opposite explains them in a little bit more detail so you can see what's going on there. Let's see if we can get this one to open up. And there is a better breakdown of, we've got the gearbox in pieces here, and there's a little lift up flap there, there's another one here. It just shows the steering box, which is hidden behind the engine, of course, because this is a right-hand drive car. More details of the back end, the front end, steering. The radiator has even been sectioned so you can see inside there. It really is a fantastic thing. I believe there was also a version of this done for motorcycles, which I've yet to buy, and I have got one for the commercial vehicles, lorries of the 30s as well. So I may well do a video on that at some point. And here again we've got a closer look at some of the other different systems that are revealed once the car's body has been removed. And we can hinge that forwards. You can see a little bit more of the braking, the front suspension, etc, etc. And then, if I can get my nail under there, we can go in a layer again, and it gives you an idea of the wiring. They're very simple compared to a modern car wiring arrangements, the electrics of a typical pre-war car. Obviously, a few years before this they would have had acetylene gas lamps, but by now they're on electric lamps, and you can see some of the wiring arrangements. It's all fairly simple stuff. So carefully fold that down again, carry on to the next page, and we have the engine itself. Various parts are here. Got the carburetor, so you've got the magneto ignition. This is before coils were widely invented, or widely used rather. So we've got magneto ignition, we've got the water pump, and then the dynamo over here. And that hinges out, so we can see inside the carburetor there's the fuel arrangements, the float, needle valve in there, etc, etc. Like I say, got the inside of the magneto, so it gives you an idea how that works. Like I said, the water pump is there. I'm not sure there's any other fold out parts on this particular page. There we go. And that comes down. We can see inside the engine, and this gives you a good idea of how all the parts in the engine work. This is an overhead valve engine. Recently we've been talking about side valve engines and the little Fords, but this is overhead valves, so you can see the valves are there. Pistons go up and down the cylinders here. It's a 6-cylinder, that's the crankshaft. These are the connecting rods, so you've got piston con rod onto the crankshaft. As the crank turns, it puts the moves the pistons up and down. It's all fairly straightforward, but this does explain it all quite nicely. Not sure there's anything else there. No, nothing else to flick up there, so we can close that down carefully. And we'll carry on to the next page. I think this is the same engine but from the other side. So we've got various things here. So this, not only does that flip up that way, but it also folds out that way as well. Again, we've got the internals in here. That's the starter motor. You can see all the windings and the armature inside there. This is the oil pump drive here. We've got this over here. We've got the what do you call it? So this has actually got a coil. So we've seen coil and magneto ignition in this particular book, because like I say, it's not based on any one particular car. You can see inside, underneath the dizzy cap, and the coil there. And this whole thing folds forward, and again we can see inside the engine. Now this is a side valve engine. The other one was overhead valve. This is a side valve. You can see the valves here pointing that way, and the pistons run alongside. There's a camshaft and so on, crankshaft as we saw before. So that's quite neat that you've got the comparison between the overhead valve and the side valve engines. Let's carry on a little bit further. And here we've got what they call the Chamber of Horrors. On this page, like I said, Chamber of Horrors, this just explains some of the problems that can happen in an engine due to poor maintenance and presumably by using inferior quality oils, as this is produced by an oil manufacturer. We've got the furred up water jacket. To keep the water cooling system clean by occasionally draining and flushing, rainwater should be used whenever possible. We've got a dirty sparking plug showing cracked insulator, dirt and rust on the impeller blades, carboned up valve stems, so that's number 4, which is here. So you've got coked up valves, that's not very good. Burnt out valve seat and seating, that's going to mess up your compressions if the seats that the valves close into are damaged, corroded, etc. Worn valve guides, so you're going to get some low compression and possibly burning oil. Scored cylinder walls, pistons, gummed up rings, cracked cylinder walls, that's never good. Carbon on the underside of the pistons, scored gudgeon pin, piston showing the effect of broken rings and lands. Scored cams, sludge in the timing case, sludge in oil ways due to dirty oil. Unsuitable oil or presence of water frequently responsible. Scored and partly run big end bearing, main bearings showing crazy paving effect of metal coming away from the shell. Choked filter, sludge and free water in the oil sump, burst oil gallery pipe, sludge and hard carbon on filter tray, oil leak from crankcase joint, and oil and mud on the sump base. Number 23. This will reduce the air cooling effect and cause the oil temperatures to rise above normal. Oil consumption may increase and engine become noisy. And finally over here we've got an alphabetical list to parts. So these are all the different car components that are featured within this wonderful old book. Got a list here of car makes and models and the recommended oil for the engine, gearbox, rear axle, and a few comments there if need be, because obviously Shell were keen to sell you some oil for your engine. And just a bit of detail about double shell, triple shell and aero shell oils. And that is this fantastic old publication from about 1932 or 1933ish called The Modern Motor Car. I hope that was of interest. Please let me know if a quick looks at period publications like this are of interest, because there are plenty more to go at here. It might not be for everyone, but if you like having the short videos on subjects like this, please let me know in the comments. More videos along very, very soon. Bye for now.